for English subtitles.
The user navigates to the remote control and deliberately presses the button labeled subtitle to enable or disable the subtitles on the screen. A really impressive specimen, West African giant snail. What is interesting is that, somehow different from reptiles, everything happens a bit slower. Now we have to spray him first and wait until he comes out. Now he is halfway, 3/4 out. Then I must not move quickly, press hard, or else he will retreat. But a really cool, impressive piece. Look at that huge thing, bigger than my hand. Yes, really pretty, something completely different. I would actually like to show his face now, so to speak, but that will definitely come later. Yes, today my intro animal for you, a giant African snail. My intro animal Gunther was not just a coincidence as an intro animal, and that's the theme of today's episode. I am here with Chris. Chris is here in Munich, so to speak, the snail whisperer of Germany. Well known like that.
That's why Gunther will come out right away.
That's why Gunther will come out right away. Exactly, we missed that now. Because of my long talking, we can't see it properly either. So she is now taking Gunther in her hand. I am standing here for 10 minutes, have Gunther in my hand and keep wobbling. And every time I wobble, he disappears again. Andy, Chris has him in her hand for 10 seconds and Gunther comes out. Probably because he thinks there is something to eat, right? No.
Yes, well, they are. I mean, you can train them. Quite easily, I would say. But he is already conditioned to know that it's me because they have scent cells on the bottom of their foot. And I feed him every now and then, very rarely, but he definitely knows that it's me.
That you are the one. Scent cells on the foot, that's actually funny. The opposite of us humans, right? For us, it smells at the foot and we smell the foot. Funny. Yes. So, I only introduced you half-heartedly. So you are Chris.
My name is Chris. I am a snail fluencer. And in Munich, exactly, I have my Slimeside snail temple here. The largest online shop for snails, I would say, in Germany. And I breed snails. I am a snail fluencer. So online I give care tips and so on.
Exactly. And we got to know each other more or less over the internet a few weeks, months ago. It has been months. Through your YouTube channel and so on. And I asked Chris, I absolutely have to see and film this. And now I have journeyed here to Munich. And I am here in a snail kingdom here. And then we can take a look around today, right?
Yes, let's go, I would say.
Let's go.
Gunther has already gotten to know it.
The whole thing nice and slow at a snail's pace.
But he already enjoys the camera, you can see that.
A hub shack, yes, exactly.
Gunther lives there together with Ahmed, Babels, Chantal. This is a minimum-sized terrarium because we are having a larger one built, but for now, we still live here.
Nice.
Rainforest terrarium. It's very important to keep the snail moist. The A and O, you already know that. The people who follow me keep the snail moist, folks. The A and O, very important.
Nice, keep the snails moist, okay? And look, the others are in there. Just push it a bit. That's why you always close it again, right? Yes, to keep the humidity inside. And here we have Ahmed now.
Chantal.
Ahmed, Chantal, they all have names with you, right?
Yes, so the ones I have, so to speak, are my snails, but I have over 5,000.
Okay. Not all with names? No. Okay. Just briefly again, you mentioned conditioning. So they already know you when you have them in your hand. Yes, we just saw that, definitely. You have them in your hand, they come out.
But they absolutely have no brain. So how this conditioning works cannot be said exactly. But as I said, I believe that he cannot smell because of these scent cells, because I naturally give him food when he is on my hand. Snails should mainly be left alone. So I don't do this daily or anything, but it's very selective when I take him out. And above all, I now have so many snails that I can rotate them.
Okay. Since I've been here with you, somehow a pun comes to my mind after another. Or, for example, they have no brain, but you can condition them. That's almost like a political statement or something. It's just too good, really, with the snails. That's an interesting, funny topic. Yes, now we can really see the size.
So Gunther here also has a fighting weight of 800 grams. Just over 800 grams.
I don't even know, did I say it before? West Africa. Scientifically.
Achatina marginata, Orum on XXL, is wild from Nigeria.
Okay, so not...
One knows Achatina from West Africa, and now they are no longer called Achatina, but Achatina is the largest land snail in the world. Yes, I have that too, but they are still teenagers with me. They will grow a bit bigger. So roughly, this here is the second largest land snail in the world. But the size is very difficult for beginners and also not so easy to keep. That's why Gunther is almost indestructible.
And it won't give up much in size. So this is West Africa. Those who know my Africa episodes, at some point I even ate them there. Now, Gunther will drop his wings or antennae when he hears that.
Maybe they don't have ears.
Not that either.
Okay.
No ears, no brain, so nothing can happen for now.
But they have very good slime.
Okay.
So there is hyaluronic acid in it, zinc, and so on.
Ah, you mean very healthy.
So please don't eat anything. So people, please don't lick snails outside, even if they look delicious. They are also good cosmetically. Okay. Not one now.
Let it crawl across your face and...
This is somehow the hit.
The wrinkles are gone. Okay, cool. Yes, let's take a look around you.
I can show you the most expensive snail right away.
Okay, do we want a Gunther? Can you hold him in your hand? He doesn't bother you, right? Then let's take a little walk exactly. The most expensive one is here, okay?
This is Bert. Why is Bert so expensive? Because Bert doesn't lay many eggs, of course. The rarer the species, the more expensive, more valuable.
Okay. I would have guessed that the bigger it is, the more expensive it would be.
No, size doesn't always matter to me, as we all know. But Bert also has a Bert, so there are really a lot of people who are envious of Bert. He really has, by the way, Fred, the aces.
The shorter ones in the ground, police in the terrarium, so to speak, the house. And you say you birth had so only for the spectators of the below, that is of course eating water. There is the orange name that you think this part of the snail that gets the food taken away. And what is the beard now on it? So what you say you have a beard? Yes, that's what I'm saying. But they are actually also feelers. Okay, so that's a bit different, see underneath.
That will probably come soon, hopefully. You have to take a little time, but he only cleans himself.
Okay. And where does the species come from? No, I don't think you've mentioned that yet.
South America.
South America. So now we are moving from the African Gunther to South America. Indeed, they have up there those two, the classic snail feelers up there.
Those are the eyes, exactly.
Ah, those are the eyes.
Okay.
Oh, really? I wouldn't know that either. And down there, the feelers, that's Bert you meant, right? He uses them to feel. And these eyes on top, I didn't look at Gunther at all. They all just have these two, like you see in comic films. These two sticking out on top. And then they have a mouth at the bottom with which they eat. Can you recognize that? Can you see it? Or is there something like teeth or something?
Yes, they can have up to 30,000 teeth on their tongue. Tiny teeth. That is a bit startling.
But you can see the beard nicely. Proud. Okay. And this is the most expensive one, you say?
Yes, simply because it is the rarest.
Okay. And when you say expensive now, 60? So 60 euros? Uh-huh. A baby? Okay.
And he really likes it. So totally shabby, Bert. He is a bit of a slacker. Uh-huh.
So, well, that is the fruit or the food inside or even the ground itself. You just leave it like that. So, maybe for people who don't hold it too extreme, because that doesn't disturb the smell. It's used to it here, but if you had it at home, it might be a bit missed. In the living room, if it smells like compost, like a compost heap, then that's obviously not quite perfect. Here we can utilize everything. So, let's go into your search. Then come with me into this little chaos here, because we feed, pack everything. But as you can see, it's getting a bit tight again. It's all expanding at a snail's pace, but it is expanding. Exactly. Now I have, of course, bought a greenhouse. This is my new purchase.
And the cuttings are now growing in there.
So basically, it's essentially about breeding. So everything you sell are all snails that you have bred, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So, no wild ones that I resell, but these are all Achatina snails. And exactly as I said, humidity is very, very important. That's why I bought this greenhouse here. And optimize, always optimize, because snail breeding is not something you can just learn anywhere or take courses on or anything like that, since it hasn't been around for very long. Not in the style that I do it anyway. And that's why you really have to... So I constantly optimize, try out boxes. The amount I've spent on boxes is insane, because I naturally want them to thrive, to grow well, and to maintain the humidity especially. And this is what it looks like when the humidity looks perfect. That the glass is always slightly fogged. I also don't work with hygrometers or anything like that, because they are often faulty. And that's always a good indicator that the humidity is right. That's a fact. Achatina snails. So don't make the mistake of keeping native snails with such high humidity, because it really varies by species. There are over 20,000 different types of giant African snails, and each one is kept a little differently.
Okay. And that it simply becomes too stuffy in there. But that's not the case. So, in the terrarium, one might think that the fresh air supply is too poor or something like that.
They are mollusks. Of course, you behave quite differently. What? Mollusks?
What are mollusks?
They belong to the shellfish, to the soft-bodied animals, crustaceans, and so on.
Okay, then a quick note on breeding. How do we breed snails? Do you keep them together?
Yes, each species separately. Sometimes even each color separated from the species. And for example, here I have a Lysarathina felica caramel in... When they lay eggs, the babies hatch very, very tiny. And then they come first, then they are collected and come here to the cricket box. This also has the advantage that the humidity is perfectly maintained there, because especially at the beginning, it is very important that they grow evenly.
Okay. Do you see any little snails in here now?
Yes, I believe so.
Are snails active during the day or at night? Can anything be said about that?
Yes, they are more active at night, but there are also species that are more active during the day. I'm now afraid that I'll crush them. Yes, no, then let's not. They are already very small.
Or show us one a size larger when they are a bit bigger. You have some too, I believe, right? So we can imagine a little...
They are now about this big, but they are already a few weeks old. And they will soon be moved to a larger box. They will go into a box like this. And they will grow there until they are stable and can be sold. It is really important at the beginning that they grow evenly, because they will have fewer problems later on. So, because there are snails that have problems with humidity at the beginning, they stay small and no longer grow. Then the inside of the snails continues to grow, but the shell does not, and then they can die.
Okay, well, whatever.
And suffer.
Science for itself. Back to the topic of the number of snails briefly. Yes. Are snails hermaphroditic or unisexual? It is said that there are actually no males or females among snails, right?
Is that correct? There is always everything.
But mainly they are hermaphrodites. There are snails that are bisexual, but those are sea snails. So mainly a type of sea snail, but mainly most are hermaphroditic, and all the ones I have are hermaphroditic.
Okay, so breeding means you put them in a box, feed them well, and wait for them to lay eggs. Or rather, I believe there are also something like live-bearing species or something like that.
I have that too. They don't lay eggs, they hatch, meaning they come out of the snail already.
Small snails. The small snails come out, okay.
Oh wow, that's really funny. But it is indeed, yes, rather rare. But there is actually nothing that doesn't exist. There is a snail that can regrow its head. There are snails with a shell made of metal sulfide. But those are sea snails, and I don't know much about them either. With water snails, well, that's not enough.
You are indeed the snails, okay?
But yes, they live here. I just have to make sure that the humidity is right. The heat is perfect in the boxes. I don't add extra heat. With terrariums, it is always a bit more difficult because they often do not retain humidity well. You have to make sure that they are closed.
Exactly. I saw that you also have the Reptizo terrariums. And then you close the vents 80, 90, 100% closed.
Yes, as I said, it also varies a bit depending on the species. For example, the bear does not need as much humidity.
The South American, exactly, okay.
Not so much humidity. But Gunther and Ahmed, so the West Africans, they really need...
They want, yes, conflict or...
I close everything except for this front slit. On the panes.
On the sliding pane. And everything else closed. Yes. Okay. That is then perfect just for this type, mind you. We only look at the locals. Chris, you have everything. Are they all achat snails? You have others, but what we just saw were all achat. So in the genus of achat snails, not exactly right, that looks American, was in Africa. Yes, exactly right. Okay, then you have many achat, but others. Let me still look at the UFO. 610-4361, okay.
He is a bit shy, but also a very nice pup. Nice to have you here. Oh, look, he's hanging on the lid, right?
We can see that.
If I were to pick him up now, he would behave that way. But he is beautiful like this. He will also grow bigger. He is not fully grown yet. He will be about the size of a palm. It is also a very beautiful species. They are rather shy, not like Günther, who sometimes comes out on the hand. You can compare that. You can actually notice differences.
You can really notice differences, which one's pulling much faster. And UFO 361, because he simply has this flat, disc-shaped body.
So, the name was given to him by my viewers. Okay, that is neither his idea nor yours.
But
look, he is still 2 years old.
He knows that the camera is there. And what you say, they come from Cuba, right? Cuban. Okay, cool.
These are not hard snails either, but they are actually relatively easy to keep and like to climb. Yes, but really I would consider them purely for observation purposes, so I couldn't take them in my hand either.
Maybe for the person who prefers to touch the snail, they should rather stick to the achat or something.
Yes, with the achat, the humidity is really a bit difficult for people. I've noticed that, especially since there are species that lay up to 500 eggs every week. And there are many people who have problems freezing or crushing the eggs. And then they somehow have 500 baby Achatina snails every week.
Overproduction then, okay.
It always depends a bit on the person themselves which snail suits them best. You can't really say it any other way. Everyone has their own snail.
That was actually the perfect closing word. No. Everyone. Everyone has their own snail. It was super interesting, Chris. Thank you very much. People can find you online at...
Slimeside is my shop. And YouTube at Slimeside.
Slimeside, so you should check it out. I also found the quiz. I think it's cool. On one hand, it's funny. in quotes, or it's just interesting, entertaining, let's put it that way. But it's also terrorist. So, no reptiles but snails, but it's definitely terrorist. I really enjoyed it with you. Thank you very much. And in this case, not check my balls, but check the snails in this case.
And keep the snail moist, folks. Don't forget.
Always keep it nice and moist.